Today on our 2013 Mini Clubman, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Curt Class 1 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C11387. So here's what our hitch is going to look like when it's installed. Now whenever we want to use our hitch, we're going to need to remove our license plate, and we're going to have it accessed right here. Now this is a Class 1 hitch, so it's going to give us that 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening. Now it is a reinforced collar on here, giving it added strength and a nice clean finished look. Our hitch is going to use a standard 1/2" pin and clip, and they are included, so there's nothing extra to pick up. Now our safety chain loops are going to come directly below our receiver tube, and they're going to be tucked right behind our bumper. Now they're going to be a loop style, and as you can see, we're going to have plenty of room to get our safety chains on or off. Our hitch is going to feature a 200-pound tongue weight along with a 2,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. Now, I recommend that you always double check with your vehicle's owner's manual to make sure it can handle that amount of weight. Now, the manufacturer does recommend for any non-trailer loads, meaning any loads that you have that don't have any supportive wheels, like a bike rack or cargo carrier, that use a stabilization strap, and you can pick one of those up on our website using part number 18050. Now, when it comes time for us to use our hitch, we're going to need to remove our license plate. Remove the fasteners holding it in place, and it's going to expose our receiver hitch. Now, since we don't want to drive around without a license plate, I'm going to lower it down and use the top mounting holes of my plate on the bottom mounting holes of my car. This way we can still be within the wall, but be able to access our hitch. Now in our instance, we're going to be using a bike rack. So we can go ahead and insert our bike rack into our receiver tube. Now it's going to be a little hard to see, but we're going to make sure that everything's lined up. And if we reach under our bumper, we'll be able to access to get our pin and clip in place. With everything secure, we're ready to hit the road. Now I'd like to give you a few measurements to help you in deciding for accessories for your new hitch, such as a bike rack or a cargo carrier. Now from the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is 16¼ inches. Now because our hitch does sit inside of our bumper behind our license plate, I'd like to give you that measurement as well. From the center of the hitch pin hole to where it meets our bumper is 3¼ inches. Now that we've gone over some of those features, let's show you how we get it installed. To begin our installation, we're going to need to come to our rear fascia, and if we come right underneath our license plate, we're going to have 2 Phillips head screws that we're going to need to remove. Now directly behind each one of our tires, we're going to have another fastener right here at the bottom. I'm going to be using a T15 Torx bit to remove that. And we're going to need to remove the one on the driver's side as well. Now if we come to behind our tire right here at our wheel well, we're going to have a plastic fastener right here. I'm going to use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove it. Now once we have the center section removed, we can take a flathead screwdriver and pop out the backing plate. Now we're going to remove that fastener on the other side as well. We're going to need to remove the 2 sections here on our fender flare from our fascia. So we can pull our wheel liner back, and we're going to separate these 2 panels. Now it may be easier if you do it from the inside. Now they're going to attach with these tabs here. So it may make it a little bit easier if we can grab the tab and we can push out or pull back from the outside to release it. And we're going to want to pull this away far enough that we can access the light that's on the back of this reflector here. And we're going to give it a 1/4 turn, and that'll release our light. Now we are going to have to access this screw right here. I'm going to use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove it. Now we're going to remove the other screw on the other side. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to take off our rear fascia. Now if we open up the doors and slightly push down, we'll be able to slide our fascia backwards. Now before we pull it away all the way, we are going to need to remove our license plate lights. So we can just give them a 1/4 turn and I'll release it and we can pull them out. Now we're going to set our fascia aside so it won't get damaged. Now across our bumper beam here, we're going to have some wires that are attached. They're going to be attached to our bumper beam using plastic fasteners. Now I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and we're going to need to pop all 7 of these out. So we can just get underneath the clip and pry down, and that should release it from our bumper beam. Now we're going to repeat that for the other remaining 6. Now we're going to remove the bumper beam from our vehicle. Now we're going to have 2 bolts that are going in on the outside of each side, and then directly towards the center we're going to have 2 more nuts that are going to be holding it on. Now I'm going to be using a 13mm socket to remove those. Now before I remove the last one, I just do want to mention that once we remove the last 2 bolts holding it in place, there's nothing going to be holding our bumper beam on, so you want to make sure that you have it supported or you have a firm grip so it won't fall. Now we can go ahead and remove the other fasteners on the other side. Now we can set our bumper beam and our hardware aside because we will be reinstalling both. Now we can raise our hitch into position, and we're going to line up the holes with the studs from our bumper beam with the inner holes on our hitch. Now once we have this in place, our bumper beam is going to go back on top and sandwich our hitch in between the vehicle and the bumper beam, and then we can replace our hardware. We can go ahead and put our bolts in place on both sides, and once we do, we can come back and snug them down. Now with the bolts snugged up, we'll have just enough room to get the nuts put in place. I'm going to come back, and again using a 13mm socket, I'm going to torque all my hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. Now I already marked the location of where we're going to need to drill, but we're going to need to drill a 2.5-inch hole so that our hitch can come out right behind our license plate. Now I'm going to be using a hole saw, and the instructions to find this point is in the instructions. I just do want to mention also, before we begin to drill, you want to check what's behind your fascia. You want to double check behind it to make sure there's nothing that's going to be damaged. Now, it is always a good idea after you cut a hole that you test fit it on your vehicle and make sure everything lines up properly. With our hitch torqued down and our bumper prepped, we can start putting everything back into place. Now we can go ahead and put our fascia loosely back in place, check that our holes line up. Now we did have to trim ours a little bit more than the instructions said, and it did come up quite a bit higher. But now we can access our hitch fully and not have to worry about it interfering, and it will be covered up by our license plate. We're going to go ahead and reconnect our license plate lights. Make sure they lock in place. We're just going to go around and make sure that all the clips are fastened. We're going to push until they all pop in place. Let me start replacing all of our hardware. We can reconnect our marker light here on the side, and then pop our panel back in place. And that'll finish up our look at the Curt Class 1 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C11387 on our 2013 Mini Club.
Thanks for watching. Click the link in our description below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com. And leave us a comment if you have any questions.